Sunday edition of In the Know coming at you here with Rachel and Rhythm. Want to show you sort of a heads up, a warning. This is happening again. The wet, the windy conditions, that will be the theme as we go through today, tomorrow, and in through Tuesday right across eastern Canada. Meteorologist Rhythm Reet is here to help us pinpoint some of the details and answer a big question. The atmospheric river. What is an atmospheric river? Why is it creating such a large impact across Nova Scotia as we go into this week? Those details start right now. Rhythm, a very wet forecast at a time of year where lots of Canadians are actually welcoming to the idea of cold and snow. We've got mild conditions and a very late season atmospheric river.
Yeah, and an atmospheric river is essentially just a narrow band of moisture that is streaming up towards a specific area. Now, in this case, it is going from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up towards areas of Atlantic Canada, bringing with it plenty of precipitable water, which means a lot of heavy rainfall in the forecast.
Now, when we talk about atmospheric rivers, they can be associated with flooding because it is such targeted heavy rainfall. Think of turning on a fire hose, pointing it towards one region, and essentially not seeing an end in sight. That's going to be the setup across Atlantic Canada, especially Nova Scotia. So Rhythm, can you sort of paint the picture for us? What's the driver? What is setting up this atmospheric river?
Well, it is a high pressure over the Atlantic, and it is a strong one. As the low that develops right off the east coast, it is going to be basically fighting for room right over Atlantic Canada to bring with it very strong winds because that pressure gradient is so large. And on top of that, that atmospheric moisture gets squished right between the both of them. So that's what's that driver of that atmospheric river, bringing plenty of moisture right up towards areas up to Labrador as well this late in the season. And we can see a little bit of a wraparound behind the high. That shows you how this is that steering force and the driver between all of this rain coming to Atlantic Canada.
Now, we know, Rhythm, with this setup, there is a lot of precipitable water. Essentially, there's a lot of raindrops in the sky. The ability to rain will be huge. So we're going to talk about some of the numbers in a second. But first, let's get into the timing. When will we start to see all of this set up?
Well, the low pressure system is still right east of the Carolinas in the States, but those initial bands of rain are moving up towards areas of southern Quebec and Atlantic Canada for Sunday evening. We're going to start to see that rain really pick up for Monday afternoon for Quebec. However, for areas across Atlantic Canada and the Maritimes, the rain is going to pick up Monday evening. And I just want to focus in on that atmospheric river. We see that narrow band of rain. That is what's going to be impacting areas of Halifax and northern areas of Nova Scotia and into Newfoundland. That's going to be that consistent rain that moves through all the way up to Thursday.
And I think that's the key there, consistent and persistent. You know, on the model, it looks pretty small, but it's just continuous. And that's where the numbers really add up. So Rhythm, let's talk about the numbers because I know in this scenario, we're not shying away from the idea of 100 millimeters of rain.
Absolutely not. And we're going to be looking at that risk for localized flooding as well. Really in across areas of the eastern coast of Nova Scotia, that's where we have that chance for over 100 millimeters of rain and looking at that localized flooding risk as well. Other areas can also get up to those 100 millimeters of rain across areas of Quebec as well as right along the New Brunswick and the Maine border.
Now, we do know that the wind will be very strong out of the south, so let's get some of those numbers.
Well, the wind is going to be moving up right along the east coast, but by Monday evening, that's when we're going to start to see that very strong wind gusts across areas of Nova Scotia, gusting all the way up to 100 kilometers an hour in some regions.
Now, we know that will drive the temperatures up. A very stormy week ahead.